is advised.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Board Games Unlocked, and I'm doing a no run-through review for the newest adventure games, the Volcanic Island, which sucks so hard. This is a very, very bad version of this game. Out of the three that I have played, it is by far the worst. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed. No. And I'm going to explain why. There's a few reasons why I actually really did not like this one. So, and it's gonna harken back to the other two. So the other two, if you don't know, are the Dungeon and then Monochrome Inc., which I have done reviews over those two. So if you want to know my thoughts on those, you can definitely check them out. But in a nutshell, both of those are about exactly what they say. Like the first one, the Dungeon, you are in a dungeon, and then you have adventures, and there are multiple endings, and you discover things, and you solve riddles, and then you go on through that. Monochrome Inc., you go into Monochrome Inc. because you are assigned by some mysterious task force to figure out what is going on in there, and then you have the adventure, and then branching paths, and of course figure out what the story was. Here, it's called the Volcanic Island, has nothing to do with the volcano until the, very, very end. And even then, no, not really. And that's, a minor complaint, but whenever you're going into one of these games expecting a certain path and it completely goes left field, you're like, what the hell? I'm so lost. Like, we were playing it, we were just like, I have no idea what the fuck is going on. And eventually you finally oh, I get it. What is this about? So the story is all over the place. There are 4 chapters in this game. And to side note, this is about, what does it say? It says 4 times 75 minutes. That's about right, honestly, because, they say about each chapter is about 75 minutes long, which is not the case either. It's like Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 are kind of about maybe an hour, and Chapter 3 just feels like, oh my god, it is like 2 hours, and then the ending is maybe an hour, hour and a half. So it sits around, 4 to 6 hours if you're trying to, explore everything. And each of those chapters just feels so disjointed. So I guess small spoilers here. I'm not going to go over details of certain things, but chapter 1 is you on the island. You're there and you are kind of exploring and talking to people. And then hey, there's a storm approaching, so you're kind of having to deal with that, and you're like, oh, okay, all right. Chapter 1 wasn't too bad. I'm like, this might be a pretty decent romp because you're trying to figure out what is happening on this island. And then Chapter 2 is basically you are continuing to explore the island and talk to people, and you're kind of doing a roundabout way because a storm happened and you have to deal with the aftermath of the storm. So then you kind of go and talk to people, and then you're like, oh, all right, that's a thing now. Still, nothing really happening. You're just walking around talking to people. You play as college students, so you're not cool in any way. It's so dumb. Your characters that you play as have majors and elements. And your majors kind of are like, there were instances where it's like, in the previous ones, Monochrome Inc., or the Dungeon, mainly Monochrome Inc. though, where they had roles. Oh, this one is like the fighter, this one's the hacker. So whenever you went to a certain location, it would be like, who is doing this? And if you're at a computer and it was the fighter, you wouldn't be able to progress. But if it was the hacker, you'd get in. This didn't really have any of that. It's like, oh, okay, there's a tree here. I'm going to send the botanist, or the one who has a major in botany, over there. No, it's the same no matter who you send, so it's like, okay, what's the point? But they have elements as well, like air, earth, water, and fire. Yeah, no, that didn't matter in any way either, so really cool. The fact that, oh my god, Jerome has a mustache. I did not know that. That is hideous. That is horrible. Anyway. But yeah, so the characters, you could have just literally been anyone. It didn't matter at all. But anyway, so Chapter 2, dealing with the aftermath of the storm. Then Chapter 3, the longest one, is you get picked up, or you get a boy, a boy on the island that can come with you, and he can talk to animals. So then you just kind of now are going to the zoo, and you're going after this gang that is on the island. Smugglers, I mean, that's the very beginning thing, is you're dealing with, so there's smuggling happening on the island, but catastrophic events are now making them easier to do that, because the police initially had it under control. But yeah, so now you can talk to birds with Jose, the boy. And then Chapter 4 is you chasing after the gang and stopping them. It is just so disjointed. You never really feel like any of the chapters connect, and that it becomes a extreme slog to kind of get through it. And here's the thing that I'm starting to realize about these adventure games. They have become increasingly just like convoluted about like the items that you get, the story, the writing. It's just kind of like, it just never feels like it has a pretty good flow or a pace forward. It's kind of like, oh, that was Chapter 1. Okay, they're done with that. Now we're on to Chapter 2. We have an overarching story we want to tell, but we don't really know how to tell it, so we're just going to break it up and kind of just really fast forward you up until we get you to the point that we need you to be. I know not to compare these to Unlock or Exit, especially not Exit, because this is nothing like that, but it's still in that same vein. Like it's that kind of like adventure. I mean, especially with the Unlock ones now, the adventure genre, but they still want you to have puzzles. But some of these puzzles, it's just like you just have no direction with what you're supposed to be doing with them. They just give you all these cards, and you're just like, okay, like you really don't do anything especially in this one. The Monochrome Ink, you had stuff that was happening. Like you just, at least you felt like you were doing something because your characters actually mattered. Here, you just get a bunch of stuff, and you're just reading to each other. And you're just like, okay, well, I have all of these cards. Maybe this card pairs with this card. Nope, it doesn't. Okay. Maybe this card pairs with... Nope, it doesn't. Okay. And because you just have so many options of item cards and locations, a lot of your time is spent, especially in this one because it's so long, you're just spent fumbling around, just trying, okay, maybe I could use this fabric at this location. And it's like, nope, okay. So you're just never guided in a way that makes any actual sense. And very rarely does it. And I don't know. I really don't like the fact that, okay, you have this massive adventure book, or the app where it reads it to you, but the voice actor there is just like, you might as well just read it yourself. You can find, because it's just like he's reading a story, and then all of a sudden, whenever it's telling you to put cards out, he just quickly goes into that, and it's like, take card 73 and then place it here, and then take this token and place it here, and then remove these cards. Oh, and then actually go dig through the box and find this card, and you're just like, okay, pause. You might as well have just put your finger in the spot where the page is at, and then just could easily do it from this. But yeah, you're constantly in this adventure book, as like a choose your own adventure. Okay, I'm going to read this. Oh, this tells me to go here. Oh, this one tells me to go all the way back here. Oh, and at the very back is where all my combinations are. And you're just constantly just fumbling through this book for a story that is just complete shit. Like, whenever I got to the end, I was like, I'm sorry, what? Like, what? Where did this come from? Not the very end, but by halfway through Chapter 3, I was like, what? Oh, okay. Like, and before then, I was thinking, what am I even doing here? It is just so all over the place. I did not have a good time. Chapter 1 is, I had a good time with Chapter 1. But yeah, I just don't like it. Just they The unlock games, for example, have great pacing with them. You get items, and you have limited amount of items, and then you have the app that you deal with. You have machines that you can deal with, and you feel like you're making progress because you only have so much that you can do with it. It's a bite-sized chunk. Here, they give you these, like I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. 22 cards still in the inventory of these 4 characters by the end of the game. And a lot of them are red herrings. A lot of them are at different locations. This goes into multiple locations. I'm not going to show anything. I'm going to try not to spoil much. But like this location that I'm looking at right now has 5 sections. And most of them, the other one has 7. And then there's other ones that have, usually around that many, 5, 6, 7 locations that you could realistically pair all of these cards with. So you just have information overload with no real direction of what you need to pair with it. And in a story that has 4 chapters, and yes, you can save them. So it's not like you have to do it all in one sitting, but it's a Cosmos game. It's in this tiny box, so the save system is not going to be great. And so whenever you come back, you're just like, well, we forgot everything, like, of what was happening. I guess we have these cards. I guess we'll just try and figure out what to do with it. I don't like that. The dungeon was a lot more of their combination of kind of their exit games, as well as, oh, hey, this is where we're going to actually be telling a story. It's an adventure. And you're like, okay, Monochrome Inc., a little bit more adventure-y, but you still had puzzles. Here, yeah, there are puzzles for you do combine cards with other cards, and you do combine cards with locations, but a lot of them were just they were just a stretch to make happen. And just with how many, this one actually builds the island out a little bit more than the other one. Monochrome Inc. had the elevator in the different locations. This one definitely kind of did a similar idea. It built, you had a bunch of different locations that you can kind of just go to. I don't know. I didn't care for, and whenever you don't care about the story, you do not care about the mechanisms in that story. The few that there are with combining different items. It was more of just a way for us to just, okay, let's just keep going. Like, okay, we have this item. Let's look at a hint real quick just to see what we combine it with. Oh, like there was one point we had no idea what to do with one of the items, so I looked it up in the hint, and it's like, oh, combine it with this card. And we're like, oh, we don't have that card. Okay, I'll look for that hint. Oh, you get it at this location. Okay, well, that's not out yet. Okay, so then we finally, oh, you need to combine. It was like a chain, like those scavenger, like, oh, okay, I need this item from you. Oh, but okay, you need to do me a favor, and this person has it. So then you go to that person. Oh, I have a favor, and then you finally go down the the bunny trail, and then you make your way back up. That's exactly what this one feels like. And then all you get is just a way to progress the subpar story that was in this. So you do a lot of effort for 0 payoff, and the ending is completely unsatisfying. Like all the other adventure games, you have multiple endings to, like, oh, hey, what do we want to do with this? Do we want to join the bad? All of them have a bad guy, apparently. Do we want to join the bad guy? Do we want to be on the good side? Do we want to kind of do something in between? It's almost like the Mass Effect 3 ending, and all of them are unsatisfying. Like, especially with this one, I was like, I don't care. And here's another thing that was incredibly stupid. I personally don't like it. Others might. So this is obviously, it's my review, so it's subjective anyway. Some people might think this one's great, and that's okay. But there were instances where it was like, oh, if you still have a previous adventure game, if you still have literally not just Easter eggs of cards that were like, oh, hey, this is from, like, none of that. Literally, one thing where that can help you in this mission is if you happen to have the dungeon, spoiler, I guess, but the dungeon left. If you still own that adventure game, you can go in there and grab like a card and then combine it. In theory, that sounds great. However, these are only one-time play. Not in the sense of like Exit, where you literally have to throw it away, but in the sense that, well, we've done this before, so we know exactly what to do, so we should not be playing this again. So with that idea, I don't know anyone who would be keeping the previous ones. Like you would either throw them away or give them to someone. Like what I do with the unlock games is I write in my score of what I got for the missions and I give them to a friend so he can play them. And then he gives it to his friends, and then it kind of cycles through and everyone gets to enjoy the game. Here, I don't give these to anyone. Or you can, and you give it to a friend and then they do the same thing. So, or you sell it. And then it's like, so for something to actually matter in something like this, and you're like, I don't have that card, so I guess I'll just take the worst ending. It was just so stupid. I did not enjoy it at all. So yeah, I mean, without going into too deep into spoilers, this was a horrendously left field story that had nothing to do with what this is actually called. I mean, I guess okay. To be fair, it says the volcanic island. The island does have a volcano, so there's that. I mean, what does this say? To take on an unusual research assignment on a volcanic island. Yeah, I guess so. But it literally was just, it was like almost like a plot from an Ace Ventura movie. It's just what this fucking thing felt like. Even the Easter eggs and the pop culture references that they have in here couldn't do it justice. I was more annoyed with them than anything. So, yeah. I mean, this one they do a little bit more with tokens, with physical things. You have actual characters and stuff that you put on locations. And one of the I thought that was going to be a lot more interesting than it ended up being. Chapter 1, it was pretty cool because when you interacted with a token, it actually affected something else. And then it just became fiddly, constantly being like, oh, I'm going to go to this location. Oh, if you have a token here, then you can do this. If not, nothing happens. And you're like, okay. And if you're not doing it where you're just speed running it, then if it's like, oh, I guess that was my turn. I did nothing. Your turn. Oh, that happened to you too. Oh, your turn. Oh, okay, same. Fourth person's turn. All right. Oh, hey, they figured it out. Now we can kind of start this cycle. So the tokens ended up not being that great. It just became extremely annoying as you were trying to quickly get through this story just so you can say you finished it. So yeah. And in terms of riddles, I don't like any of them. I mean, I could honestly make that same argument for Monochrome Ink and the Dungeon. I think that I just don't think they're well done. And here they were extremely not well done. So yeah, this one is a very hard pass. I mean, the price point is like a good thing though. Like if this was like a $30-$40 thing, it'd be extremely frustrating. But I think they're all $15, which is not bad at all. So I mean, you kind of, if you really like it, then you definitely get your bang for your buck. But I feel like I wasted 6 hours and $15 by the end of this. So that's just, I mean, it's a double whammy of just really bad luck on my part. But on a scale of 1 to 10, obviously the 3 out of the 3 I've played, the Monochrome Ink is the best one, and then the Dungeon is pretty good too. And then this one, I don't even want to compare it to those other two because I genuinely think this one is just bad. Put it this way, I don't want to play another adventure game because this one just took it out of me. So yeah, so on the scale of 1 to 10, I think, actually I'm curious. I am curious at what these are getting on Board Game Geek because I don't know how popular these actually are. So if we have adventure games, because there's the 3, and I'm pretty sure there's another one coming out this year. The Grand Hotel, I think, is the Grand Hotel Abaddon. Oh, that must have came out last year, actually. So that one has a 7.8. So yeah, adventure games. So we have adventure games. The Dungeon has a 7.1. Not bad. Not bad. That's probably, if I don't remember exactly what I gave the Dungeon, but I'd probably give that one a 7. I didn't think it was that bad. Then Monochrome Ink has a 6.8. Interesting. That one's actually lower. I like that one a lot more than the Dungeon. And then this one has a 6.3. So this one's everyone's least favorite out of the 4 that have come out. And yeah, I'd agree. I'm definitely not giving it a 6.3. That is way too high for my ranking. I think if it was more expensive, it would be a 3 because it's $15 and you don't really lose out on money. I'll give it a 4. It is definitely below average, and just the story is so stupid. I mean, if it kicked you off on a more exciting idea, because they try to throw in a twist as well with the story, and you're just like, this is stupid. Like, what? I didn't get this at all. So the twist sucked. This would be an M. Night Shyamalan plot. So yeah, I'll give it a 4 out of 10. So that's my thoughts on adventure games, The Volcanic Island. I do not know if I will be doing the Hotel of Abaddon or whatever, just because I don't want this to, I mean, that has a higher rating, so maybe it'd be pretty good. Who knows? I just think they need to be a little bit more forthcoming with kind of what these are about, because this one I thought it was going to be a lot more like disaster related, and it's not. So that's my thoughts on the Volcanic Island adventure games. Let me know what you think of this one in the comments below. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you. Hey everyone, thank you for watching, and I really hope that you enjoyed the video. If you would like to see more of my content, go ahead and click that subscribe button and the bell to be notified whenever I upload any new content. If you feel like supporting the channel, you can go ahead and click that Patreon link to be taken to my Patreon, and any help is truly appreciated. Other than that, stick around for any other run-throughs or reviews or cool top 10s or whatever I feel like putting on. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.